Welcome back to the Be Wise podcast. I'm your host, Belize, and today is such an exciting and thrilling day because we're taking a bit of a different angle, and that is the creative lens. To all the creatives, the dreamers, anyone who is artistic, this episode is for you. And I'm super proud and excited for the guest of today. His name is Yoissry, but he's called Ryan, I think, but he will introduce himself. And he's going to walk us through the creative mind, what artists go through, the struggles. Welcome to the podcast today, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Now let's dive into it. Who is Ryan? Who is Yoissry? Why the difference in name? And how did you start?
So, Rai is the artist, obviously. And yeah, I think I started when I was around I'd say around 14, 15, poetry at first. And then from there, it kind of gradually just turned into music because my poetry was it had a flow to it. And my friends kept telling me how your poetry sounds like you're rapping basically. So you should just try and put that on the beat. And then that's how I started.
So would you say it started with writing and then that's when you discovered the voice that you have it? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. So I would also want to know, growing up, before you decided to become an artist and get into it, were there any influencers or any artists that you looked up to and you're like, yo, this person, I want to be like them?
Yes, when I was 8 or 9, my sister put me on to Lil Wayne and I lost my mind. I was like, what is this?
At 8 years old?
Yeah, because I think I was 9.
Yeah.
I was 9. And yeah, she was obviously older than me. She's 6 years older than me. And she was heavy into Lil Wayne. She put me onto him. And then from that day, I started dressing like him. I couldn't speak English, but I would just act like I speak English.
Yeah.
And from there, yeah.
So I know you are an artist here in Kigali. And some of your music, which we'll play at some point, has a bit of Kinyarwanda to it, and you kind of blend both worlds, Kinyarwanda, English, French. How do you think of merging them? Because I know usually most artists, they choose to stick to one language so that it goes to a certain audience. Yeah. Why do you choose to put your mother tongue into it?
I didn't choose to do it or think about it. It was just that's the way I speak. And I write the way I speak, kind of. So even with my friends, we just blend all the languages, and it kind of shows how rich the culture is in Rwanda to where people just speak in different languages. Well, for me, it's obviously French, English, and Kinyarwanda, but some others could add Swahili to it. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a thought that I said, oh, I should do this to make me look different or something. It was kind of just it just happened.
So I know creatives usually have at some point struggles that they get through, they go through and they endure. But I want to specify on a specific one. When it comes to pressures, someone you follow, like an artist, is already releasing music and maybe you're not yet releasing it. How do you cope with comparison? I like to call it comparison syndrome. It comes to every artist at some point. You're like, am I doing enough? That imposter syndrome kind of comes in, the fear, the doubt. It has to be there, but people cope with it differently. What's your strategy?
It's actually funny you say that because I had that issue at the beginning for a long time because I kept comparing myself to other people my age or my generation. Because there was kind of explosion of artists around 2016. I don't know if you remember the SoundCloud era. Because it was free. It was the first time you could just release music for free, right? So yeah. A lot of artists started at the same time as me dropping music, and some of them went further, some didn't. And so I kept comparing myself, asking whether or not I'm not doing enough or whatever. But at some point, I just kind of had to accept the fact that I'm on my own journey, and whatever will come at my time. And so that's the way I try to think. But obviously, I still struggle with it. It's normal, but I try to tell myself every time, this is my road, and this is how it will be.
I kind of relate to you on that because even what I do, this podcasting also is the creative side of things. And I remember when I started, I used to always compare myself to the great, and they're always popping up. I'm like, you know what? I'm not cut for this. Somebody's going to do better than me. But one thing I've realized, when you have a passion and it's something as an artist or in the creative industry, you simply don't give up. You have a goal, but you just keep pushing.
Yeah.
But in terms of struggles as well, sometimes we get carried away by numbers.
Yeah.
We get carried away by streams, who is watching, how many likes did I get on this, viewership. Yeah. And it gets to your head a little bit. Sure. Does it ever get to you?
It used to a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, but now, even the way that I haven't dropped music in a minute, it's because I'm just taking my time. There's no rush to it right now. And I'm grateful for like anybody who's, I don't like to say fans, but like who's a supporter of mine. So whether it's 10 people or 5 or 300, for me, I appreciate that. So I don't really try to like put too much importance on numbers right now. I'm just kind of focusing on crafting this sound and this art. Whatever comes with it will, but yeah, I'm not really big on numbers right now, to be honest.
I think that's good because once you are on it, it kind of clogs your head. So considering that you write your own music, I bet not every day you're inspired. How do you get out of that mental creative block, which you put a pen and paper to words can't come out? Or do you always does it come like naturally to you? How do you get over it? Or do you fix it when you find yourself you're not creative in that moment? You get down, or do you find your space, or do you have a strategy that you use that gets you out of it?
So at first, when I was starting out, I used to only write when I was inspired. And so that meant that I would go through a lot of writer's block like throughout the year. But now that I kind of see this more of like it's not a passion anymore. It's just more of like this work kind of. So I set deadlines, and that kind of pushes me as well.
Yeah.
And also like a good friend of mine told me that like I always get to this like space where I doubt myself, but whenever I come back, I'm better.
Yeah.
So now I kind of just accept that, and I just kind of like, whether I'm inspired or not, I'll do something. And that doesn't have to be perfect. It can be like a trash song, or I could just do like work on old songs and write maybe one line, or fix one line, or fix the mixing of one song. So even if I'm not inspired to write today, but I still do something about music, you know? And then it will get me somewhere else.
Yeah. So for every artist, or like when you're in the public eye, everybody has an opinion about you. Everyone has something they think of you. Are there any misconceptions that you have faced, and how do you handle them? How have you handled them?
Yeah, there's a lot.
A lot?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not a big talker, I'd say. People think I'm rude, and think I'm like kind of just, I don't know, it's rude, I guess.
Yeah.
Not rude, but kind of antisocial, which I'm not, but it's just I'm not a big talker. The way I handle it, I just don't really care, to be honest, about people's opinions of me.
That's a strength, by the way, because people's opinions can get to you.
Yeah.
So getting over it is always a good pivotal moment to start in. So usually some people, when they go through, okay, I'll give you an example for myself. I started podcasting and choosing to impact the world because I had times where I was going through my dark phases, where I was doubting my abilities, but I overcame that. Yeah. How have you ever had any mental health struggles, or like struggles before, that inspired you to write? Some people have a struggle and they get inspired to put something out, and some people just start writing music because they just feel like it. Like, I want to know the reason why you started music. Was there something that inspired you?
Yeah. So when talking about the mental health aspect of it, I did. I dealt with depression, anxiety, like actually like medically diagnosed.
Yeah.
And music has always been like my way of kind of speaking about what I'm going through. Like I'm not really good at communicating with my people about what I'm going through. But my people know that if Ryan's going through something right now, he might not tell us, but the next song he's gonna make, we're gonna know what's going on. There's always been like a vessel kind of to like express myself. And that's what started it, is because when I was younger, it was poetry. I was just writing my thoughts. And at first it was journaling, but then I just fell in love with rhyming.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So being in the public eye sometimes is overwhelming. Public eye meaning you're going on stage, there's a number of people watching you, somebody loves it, someone has a critique side of it, but I know you don't pay attention to that. Like you said, you don't pay attention to people's opinions. But does it ever get to you of just being in the public, just people watching you? Some people face that fear.
Like on stage?
On stage fright, let's call it that.
Well, I've had stage fright since my first show, and then it never went away.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever will. But it's in the sense that before I get on stage, so the whole week before this show, I don't think about the show. I have rehearsals, that's all I think about, but I don't think about the show itself because I don't want to stress myself too much. The day of, maybe I'm starting to get in the zone, but when I get to the venue, that's when I start stressing out like a lot. I get anxiety, start shaking a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
But the second I get the mic in my hand, it's gone. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to put words to it. It's just the second I get the mic and I say the first bar, the anxiety goes away.
I want to emphasize on it because most people think that artists have this nonchalant thing of not having any fear or doubt amongst themselves. But every artist goes through it. Every artist has that moment where they feel like they're nervous, but they just get so good at handling it, kind of making themselves composed to release or do the art that they're supposed to be doing. But let's run it back to a little bit to see your 15-year-old self. Considering what you know now in the industry you're in, what advice would you give your 15-year-old self that you wish you knew then, but you know now?
Believe in yourself, trust the process, and work hard. Because at first I was treating music like just a passion.
Mm-hmm.
So I was dropping every other year and stuff like that. But now, you know me, like I'm always music oriented. Like I'm always doing something about music every single day. So yeah, and also believe in yourself. I should doubt myself too much, compare myself, like I said earlier. But now that I found my voice in music and my sound,
Yeah.
I could be in the studio and just do some weird things and I'm okay with it. Just experimenting stuff, you know. So yeah, that's what I would say. But at the same time, like, that's the process too.
Yeah, yeah.
As my 15-year-old self, I had to go through that to get to where I am today. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that to myself, but at the same time, it's like, you have to go through what I went through to be where I am today.
I like that you're talking about it because people think the struggles are a sign that you can't make it. You can't. It's not meant for you. But I feel like the struggles is what kind of pushes you to become who you're meant to be. Yeah. So it's always good to like face it, get right through it. Because even me, myself, when I was starting what I'm doing right now, what you're saying, I relate 100%. You have to go through it. But the beautiful part is it shows you different sides of yourself that you didn't know you had. Are there sides of yourself that your fear has kind of mirrored to you and you're like, okay, I did not know I have this weakness, but kind of I'm aware of it and now I'm working on it?
Yeah. So there's two things, that the studio and on stage. Mm-hmm. So for the studio, I realized at some point that I was not comfortable enough to go out of my comfort zone because there's someone listening, the engineers right there listening to what I'm doing. So I was kind of scared of like, I had ideas, let me try and sing this high-pitched note that I never did before, or let me just growl, or let me just scream. But then I'm like, oh, he might think I'm weird.
Right.
So yeah, that was a part, but I changed that. But then also stage fright, in the sense that the more I performed on stage, the more I realized that I'm actually comfortable there. like I kind of make the stage my home kind of thing. Like at first it was kind of like okay, I'm there, let me just sing this song and then that song and this song. But now it's more like the songs are there, I just have to now entertain the people and kind of like get in my zone and get in the vibe.
Yeah. Honestly, fear is a big thing once you're a creative. I'll just advise anyone who is watching, just lean into it. It's part of the process. People think you can just avoid it. And this doesn't even apply to only creatives. I think it also applies to any business owner, anyone who is getting into a career they've never been in. That fear is there to kind of show you different sides of yourself, but also it pushes you and pivots you to different levels. And speaking of pivotal moments, have you had any moment that was like, yeah, I think I'm into it now. Like I've kind of started what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. I've had those a few times actually.
Yeah.
I've even told like my friend, it's happened like a few times over the years to where like, I want to say in English, but I'll also say on déclic, to where it's like I doubt myself or don't know where I'm going, and then boom, it's like, oh, okay.
In English, it's called like a spark, like that moment. It has a name, but I don't remember.
I had that in COVID, like in lockdown. I had that every single time I find a new sound. I think like because if you follow my music from when I started, because obviously I deleted a lot of my songs from before, but even on Apple Music and Spotify, if you go to my first song, I think there is Without Plomo, and where I am today, the sound changes a lot.
Yeah.
And that change is because of that spark. It's when like I realized, oh, I can actually go there too, or there too, or this too.
But I also think you shouldn't delete your old work. It helps. I think it helps fans to see your growth. Is there a reason why you chose not to keep the old version of your music there?
It was just horrible mixing.
Oh, okay. I think you're a bit of a perfectionist, to be honest. You like your work little. I feel like I know him the little that I know about you is you like quality over quantity. Yes. And most artists, due to that social pressure and people telling you this one has released music, they end up getting trapped into that quantity type of mindset instead.
You get in the corner, you have to stay there.
Yeah. So how do you create the discipline and focus to stay in it? Because I know as an artist, it's a long journey. It's a journey that you don't see the results right away, and it applies to every creative industry. Certain businesses start and they just boom right away. But as a creative, even the Lil Wayne, the people you have inspired you, they had a journey. So how do you keep that discipline and focus and saying that, yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm meant to do?
I don't know. I think it's more of like the passion I have for music and for creating is like really strong.
Yeah.
So giving up is not an option. So music is like a lifestyle for me. Like even when I play music, like it's in the car or in the speakers, like I'm not listening the same way I was before I started making music. I'm always thinking of ways to inspire myself or create new things or stuff like that. So giving up has never been an option because I fell in love with this like head first. I just kept going.
Yeah.
Not knowing where I was going, but I just kept going. I might have a plan B or C, but plan A has always been music, and I don't think it will change ever.
I think that's a great lesson you just touched on, because when any individual has a passion for something, it's always good to have it, because if you're doing something and you're not passionate about it, that's when you find yourself that the first three struggles come in and you give up on the projects that you have started. So I would say discover your passion. Me, I'm taking notes from you, yeah? So discover your passion and stick to it. Otherwise, if it's not something you love, you're just going to give up along the way, and somehow the effort, the energy you've put in, it kind of doesn't come back, right?
Yeah. It's like, the way I would explain my passion for music is like kind of a bit obsessive. Yeah. Like I can go on rants. Sometimes I know my friends about this. I can be like you were saying, like trying to be too perfect in the studio.
Yeah.
Even that annoying my engineers sometimes as well. So yeah, it's like, it's very obsessive to where like, there's never been a thought of maybe this is not the way.
Yeah.
Even if there's struggles and there's bumps on the road every other day even, but it's always like, yes, but that's where I want to go still.
I've listened to majority of your songs, and to be honest, you're very talented. You're great at what you do. According to the project you've worked on in the past, have you had like a favorite one or something that you say, this is it?
A project of mine that I did.
A project or a song that you've worked on?
With my music, I have a recency bias because my favorite songs of mine are always the ones I made last night. You know, like I went to studio last night, and my favorite song right now is the song I made last night. So that's why I can't really answer that question because you don't know the songs. But off of my catalog, I'll say my favorite song that I'm most proud of, I'd say, is Angelina, I think. Because I wrote that song very fast. It was like I heard the beat and the idea was very clear right away.
Yeah.
Like the message, the melodies, everything. And I think I wrote that song in like less than 40 minutes, I think.
A full song, less than 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was like how do I say, like a train of thought.
Okay.
Like it was just flowing out. The first line to the last line, it just kept going. It doesn't happen all the time.
Do you always need an inspiration before writing? No, it just comes.
Sometimes I look for the inspiration.
Okay.
In my own ways. Sometimes it's like a physical feeling. I don't know how to describe it. I've always told people like it's kind of like the feeling when like you're excited for something, like definitely you have right here.
Yeah.
And it's like demanding for your attention. Yeah, that's what I'm saying when it's like kind of obsessive, because I can be like, maybe I have like when I was in uni, like when I could be having assignments to do tomorrow, and I'm working on an essay. But then I have this thing that's bothering me.
That you need to write.
I need to write something. I need to play a beat right now.
I think that's a sign that it's destiny, because some people are like, I don't know if I'm in the field that I'm supposed to be in, but somehow your body tells you so. Like you have a gut feeling somehow within, especially with the creatives. You find yourself attracting, especially people who are creatives. You find yourself meeting people who are kind of in the same industry. Has that ever happened to you? Because me, when I started what I was doing, I started randomly meeting people who are passionate about what I was doing. Then I started partnering with people. This one I can work with. Or you have produced before, I would learn a thing or two. Has it happened to you where you're like, okay, this is a sign from God, universe, whatever you believe in, that I'm on the right track?
Yeah. Obviously, I met a lot of creatives. Because at first I was just making music in my room. Even I had a mic and I was just recording myself. But then when I started going to studios, especially here in Rwanda, you meet obviously engineers, producers, other artists are just leaving the session or coming after you or just hanging around. Also like performances, when you have other artists in the lineup, you meet them, you connect and whatever. So yeah, I met a few that made me realize that that I'm actually in good company in this industry.
I like the fact that you're on the right track and things are aligning for you to get to where you want to be. But for you to get to where you want to be is also a measure of success. How do you define success as an artist? Without the numbers and without, the views and all those things that get to people's heads, is there a way you define success as an artist where you see this person is successful not because of the following they have, but because they have ABCD?
I think as a creative, if you're able to live off your art, you're pretty much there already.
Yeah.
I think creativity, like that industry, is very hard to make money out of it. So I wouldn't say that I value money, my success. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if I'm able to live off my art, whatever that means to you, to me, is successful.
Yeah.
But obviously, once you get there, you should look further, because I think satisfaction is where you kill like ambition and creativity.
I would piggyback on my definition of success as an artist. I think when you're being authentic in your line of work and you're not, let's say, comparing yourself or copying another artist because they've done something, because it gets to you, you're like, oh, how about I copy this one? But eventually the road kind of brings you back home to releasing what is meant for you, right?
I don't really agree because there's different types of artists out there.
Okay.
I agree with you in the sense that I think you should be authentic in your art, be who you are, and kind of put your mark in the world as this is who I am and this is what I've done.
Yeah.
But there's other artists who just, I guess, copy or remake stuff, and that's their success. And also there's artists who have different ambitions. Like there's artists who are able to just want money and success, and they're able to create art in order to get that success. In their mind, they've done it.
So it depends on the person, you're saying?
Yeah, on the artist, because I can't be the one to tell you like, oh yeah, you have money and you're good and you're satisfied with your life, but you did it the wrong way. I can't do that because that was your goal. But my goal, yeah, it is to be authentic and to be who I am, which I think is the reason why my journey and my process is the way it is. But yeah, like I'm saying, I can't knock someone for going their own way, which might not be my way, but just got what they wanted to be.
Everyone has their art, you're right. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
I like the way you explained it.
Yeah.
Is there a legacy you want to leave behind? Like several years in the future, somebody is to listen to your music. What do you want them to pick out from? Because I know music it's like a microphone. It brings out what someone is feeling through music. But is there a legacy, or do you want something that people to remember you on? Always, doesn't have to be in the future. Every day when you release, what's that impact you want to leave behind in a release of a song?
I had someone on Twitter, I think it was like a few months ago. Don't know that person, never met him. Wrote to me and said that my song, Saddest Man Alive, helped him go through his worst kind of like period in his life. That's exactly the kind of legacy I want to leave.
Yeah.
I'm able to impact people in the sense that they're able to, because I don't explain my lyrics. And my lyrics are very real to me. That's what's going on in my life today. But I'm not very specific in my lyrics, so I can leave it up for interpretation. So I would love my lyrics to be that people were able to go through things in life, whether it's memories or bad things, like, you know?
Yeah.
And they're able to say that Ryan either helped me through that or kind of, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a good way to leave a legacy. Obviously, a legacy is something you do and someone remembers it, like it resonates with them, no matter what season they're going through and stuff. Or it reminds them even of memories that they've had to go through. But as we wrap up, what are you working on now? I would want to know, is there something we should be looking out for? Any upcoming projects?
Yes. I've been in the studio for I think it's in November right now, so I think it's been 8 months now. Just working on a new project, a new sound. So basically, I started making music from scratch now since March, to where I go to the studio with nothing, no ideas, nothing. We just start from there.
Okay.
Create the beat, because before I used to go on YouTube for beats and buy them from there. But now it's I met this producer, Elish, shout out to him. We start from scratch, have a conversation, gain the vibe, start something. That's why it's been a bit slower. But yeah, I'm working on a new project. It's called When Forever Falls. And I don't have much details about how many songs or the concept of it. You'll see when you see it. But yeah, I'm very proud of it. I'm really, really proud of this project because
When Forever Falls, that's so deep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to get into people's. I'm like, how do you come up with cool names? But kudos to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
So for people that want to listen to your music and engage with you, for somebody who is trying to get to where you're at now, before we get to where to find your music, is there any advice, last remarks to someone who's aspiring to start, but they're going through the struggles that you've been through before?
To start music?
Yeah.
Just start.
Just start. Put your foot out there.
But yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're just starting out, so no one's hearing what you're doing yet. So just, YouTube is free, bro. You can just go and find free beats out there. Start out.
I also think we're in an era where we're so privileged because we have access to all these platforms, people we can watch, somebody explaining, teaching these things. So no matter the fear that you're going through, just take the first steps. It doesn't hurt. But for fans, somebody to find your music, names, what do you go by on all your socials?
So on the DSPs like Spotify, Apple Music, stuff like that, it's just Ry, R-Y. On social media, it's Yoissry, so Yoissry. It's pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, if you want to add me there.
Honestly, I want to take this time to thank you so much for coming. And my own remarks is, I think you're going to go so far. You're very talented. Your music, the quality, everything you're doing is on point. And I'll just tell you to keep moving, pushing the strides forward. I know it gets hectic, though we talk about it like it's easy, but the mental struggles and the just general struggles can be there. But just keep pushing because you have fans, you have people that love your music, and we're all here. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to having you here again.
Thank you.
Hit that subscribe button only on Be Wise Podcast.